So now we can get started. Welcome, everybody. This is the Introduction to Library Research webinar. Thank you so much for being here. My name's Karen Menti. I'm a librarian here at UAGC, and today we'll be hopefully demystifying library research for you, and we'll be showing you how to find credible and scholarly sources quickly. Thank you for joining us. If you've ever felt frustrated searching for sources, this session is for you. And let's see. There we go. All right. So first off, I would love for you to get to know me a little bit. My name's Karen. I'm an outreach librarian. I'm joining today from San Diego. I'm so excited to have you all here. If you can drop your name, your program, if you feel comfortable, your location in the chat, we can get to know each other today. I'm going to launch a little poll, and I just want to kind of check the temperature of where you are with library research these days. Are you brand new to UAGC? Are you brand new maybe to researching in an online library? How have your searches been going? Do you feel like you're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks? That's totally natural. Maybe you feel okay. Maybe you've had some success with searching the library in the past. Let me know. This helps me just kind of check the temperature and see where everybody is today. And we see a lot of different responses. That's great. I think we'll all hopefully have something to share and learn today as we go through our webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the poll. Now, this is because we have a lot to cover today, but I want to make it clear this is just sort of an introduction to library research. There is so much that we could have crammed into this webinar, but I really want to make sure that you have just a strong foundation to library research. So I try not to pack too much in there. That being said, I hope that you will keep coming to these webinars. We have lots of different topics. And at the end, we're going to be doing a question and answer where you can certainly ask questions about other things that are on your mind. And you'll do a quick survey of maybe some topics that you'd like to see in a future webinar. So keep that in mind. Okay, so we did our poll. And now we've got our agenda today. We'll be covering sort of the whys, hows, and whats in pursuit of our ultimate goal to demystify the library. We know the library can be downright frustrating sometimes, and we want to help you make sense of it. So please, if I can ask you to stay on mute when you're not speaking, but that being said, feel free to jump in with questions or use the chat. I have my lovely colleague Kira here. She will be answering questions in chat and just making sure that we catch all the questions and we can make sure you get your questions answered. And also I want to mention this should be an active discussion. And by the way, 2 lucky participants today will be selected at random to win a UAGC tote bag or mug. So all the more reason for you to jump in and ask your questions and participate if of course you're able to. I know sometimes students are calling in from the road or they have kids around. Like, I get it, we're busy, but glad you're here today. So our agenda, we'll be talking about why searching in the library is important. We'll be talking about how to find the resources you need and what to do when, as it often happens, inevitably, you need help. Trust me, we've all been there. So you're here watching this today, so you probably already know that searching in the library is an important skill for you to have. Still, this is a question we hear so often. Why use the library instead of Google? So first, I want to back up a little bit and talk about a key term, database. A database, it's an organized collection of digital information. So that could be articles, books, data, images, videos, and they can be searched efficiently in a database using keywords, subjects, or filters. Now, in library research, databases provide access to credible, curated sources that support academic and professional work. So if we think of Google or a search engine like that as a search engine for the open internet, where it's like the Wild West, content is not being vetted, anyone can publish anything, then I want you to think of Library OneSearch as the library's search engine. And through Library OneSearch, you can access over 90 subscription databases. And here's where we get into why this is beneficial to you as a UAGC student to use this first over Google. Because we're talking about high quality, scholarly, and peer-reviewed research. It is perfectly aligned to the programs at UAGC. So it's very relevant to the subjects that you're studying, to your courses. It is vetted already for quality and credibility, so it takes some of the guesswork out of it. And library content doesn't just stop at scholarly content. A lot of students might not know. We have newspapers, ebooks, encyclopedias, videos, popular magazines, and trade journals. And unlike Google, you will not hit paywalls or article limits when you're searching in the library. You should have full text access. And by the way, if it ever happens where you aren't able to access something that you need access to, you can always reach out to us. That shouldn't be the case. Just let us know and we'll get it for you. And beyond quality, there's a practical reason to use the library. Your instructors want you to. It really shows thoughtful source selection and a commitment to academic integrity when in your assignments, they see you're linking to content from our own academic library. It goes a long way. And finally, to be blunt, part of your tuition pays for access to these databases. They're great, high quality research, and it comes at a price. So you're already paying for them, you might as well use them. So in the chat, Kira's going to drop a link to a resource we call Potential Pitfalls of Searching Google. It explains in a bit more detail why the library is usually the best place to start your research. Now, let's move on to our second question. How do we find what we need in the library? There's 3 basic steps that I want you to think about when you're getting started. And we'll begin here with step 1. Think about what type of source you need. So the good news here is that your course assignments usually remove a lot of the guesswork. They tell you often in bullet points exactly what kind of sources to use, such as scholarly or peer-reviewed sources, and they might also even specify a date range, like items published in the last 5 years. So this information is really important to keep in mind when you're starting your research in the library. Now, I mentioned scholarly sources. These are sources written by experts for an academic audience. They use formal language. They cite their sources. They're based in research and analysis. Examples include academic journal articles and scholarly books, typically from academic presses. So all of these resources that you see here on the screen are examples of scholarly sources. The titles on the top, I want to point out, these are actually scholarly ebooks from academic presses. And I point that out because while the academic journals on the bottom, like most academic journals, these journals are considered peer-reviewed sources. These are scholarly sources that have been evaluated by other experts in the field before they could be published. So it's another layer that just ensures quality and accuracy and rigor. So because of differences in the editorial process, that's why they get this stamp of peer-reviewed. And that's all it is. That's the difference between scholarly and peer-reviewed. But in short, all peer-reviewed sources are scholarly, but not all scholarly sources are peer-reviewed. And one advantage of using the library, again, is that it clearly labels peer-reviewed sources in your results list, making them easy to identify. Again, it takes the guesswork out of so much of the work you have to do to research. So there's your peer-reviewed sources there. Now, there will be times, of course, when a scholarly source maybe isn't the right fit for an assignment. And fortunately, the library provides credible sources, materials that are trustworthy and reliable. Determining credibility, it's an important skill. It depends on factors like the author's expertise, the evidence used, the publication source, and the purpose of the content. Kira is going to drop a resource we call the What is Crapo guide. This can really help you evaluating credibility, especially when you're searching on the web. Because as I mentioned, the library takes a lot of that guesswork out of determining credibility. So it's just a resource. It's good to become familiar with. It might help you in your time researching both in the library and outside of it. Now, popular sources are one type of credible source. You'll probably recognize some of these sources here. These are examples. They include magazines, newspapers, even websites, um, and they're written for a general audience. They're easy to read. It's not highly technical. They may be used especially for background information or just getting your feet wet in a topic. Now, there's also reference sources. And I highlight here a database called Credo Reference. This is one database in the library that it's excellent. It includes encyclopedias, dictionaries, handbooks. These are credible sources, and they're especially helpful at the beginning of your research process. Credo Reference, I like to think of it as essentially a credible version of Wikipedia. And, you would never cite Wikipedia in an assignment where you're required to use credible sources because, of course, anybody can go on Wikipedia. I could go there right now and publish an article that is completely hallucinated. But Credo is different. It has that layer of editorial oversight. So you can cite Credo Reference as a credible source. I just like to point that out because a lot of students don't know it's there, and it's a really useful resource in the library. Now, next is the next step in the research process, and this is a great time as you're sitting down to start your research to grab a pen and paper or open a document and just start writing things down. Doing this will help you take that first step toward writing, which I know is so hard for students to just get started, and it also keeps your research organized. So the first step I want you to do is just start by reading your assignment carefully and break it into parts. Make sure you understand what it's asking. Make sure you think about any ideas that you already have about what you want to say, because it's really all about your own student voice, what you want to say. And your research should really just support those points that you're making. So just keep that in mind as you plan. Next, I'd like you to think about developing one or more research questions. For example, what effect does sleep have on memory and learning? This is a question that I have chosen as an example for this webinar. So I'm going to be talking about this question a lot. So I would write down that question, keeping in mind that my question may change as we learn more through the research process, but that's normal. We got to start somewhere. Then I want to ask you to do some background research to help you learn a bit more about your topic. It helps you learn the vocabulary and just build a foundation for your research. And I know you're thinking, wait, I have to do research before I even actually start my actual research? What? This doesn't have to take long. Honestly, 5 minutes with a Credo reference entry or even 5 minutes on Wikipedia, because you're not going to be citing your background research. That can just help you kind of get used to the vocabulary, start to identify useful keywords, things like that. Set a timer, 5 minutes with the Wikipedia page. And then, and this is critical, you can start making a list, just building a list of keywords related to your topic. Because then you're going to take those keywords and use those in the library databases, in the Library One search box. So this, by the way, is also a point where generative AI can be really, really helpful. You might ask a tool like ChatGPT, what keywords are related to the study of sleep's effect on memory and learning? That's my research question. Let's see what ChatGPT recommends I use as keywords. And that is a completely acceptable use. ChatGPT isn't doing my research for me. It's not writing my paper for me. Certainly, that would not be ethical. But just hearing maybe what some keywords it recommends. It might also have some strategies I could use in the library database to help get my research started. So Kira, I'm going to ask you to drop a couple resources in the chat. I'd like students to see the background research tip sheet if they want to bookmark it for later. And the Writing Center has an excellent resource on using generative AI for research and writing. Since I mentioned it, it's just useful to understand sort of the lines with using generative AI for this type of work and how to make it effective as well as responsible. We also have a great, if you've subscribed to this series, we have a webinar on using generative research and writing. It's available in the Library U section of the library homepage. I recommend watching it if you're interested in learning more about generative AI. So finally, we're on to our last step, to jump in and just start some searching, while also kind of keeping some realistic expectations. So when you start your searches in the library, just keep in mind you're unlikely to get that hole-in-one on the first try. You're gonna have to try out some different combinations and adjust your keywords as you go, adding, removing, trying different combinations. And that's just part of the process. And it means that you're refining your search. Another thing I caution students against is looking for a single source that hits every point you're trying to make. The point is, like, I call those unicorn resources, and honestly, they don't exist. Instead, research is meant to help you gather evidence to build your own argument about what you're saying, to make your own inferences. For example, if you're studying sleep's effect on memory in teenagers in the United States, and you find a study on sleep and screen time's effect on memory in Australian adolescents. They're not exactly the same, totally different environments. One talks about screen time, the other one maybe focuses less on memory. But what insights can you still use? What can you gather from the research that's been done? It doesn't have to be a perfect match. Just be clear in your own writing about how you're using it. Also, it's a good idea to be prepared to save your work and maybe develop a process for saving your work as you go. We have a lot of resources that can help you stay organized with your research. Things like the My EBSCO account, which we'll talk about when we get to the library tour. Also things like RefWorks. You don't have to use one of these methods, but it helps to just have some process in place that works for you when you start your research, so you know how to save the good articles that you're going to find. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us and ask, what do you recommend? Like, I need to get a process for saving my research. We have things to help. On that note, most importantly, when you need extra help, because you will, support is always available. You can contact me or my colleagues. You can connect with our team of 24/7 live librarians around the clock through the library tutoring button. And we're here to help you through any research challenge. We love working with students. You will never be a burden. A lot of students call and they say, I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Please, we love that. We love just walking you through the process. So don't hesitate. Reach out to us. We'll be happy that you did. And hopefully you'll be happy you did too. Okay, so we're about to dive into the tour where we'll spend most of our time, but I want to touch back just briefly to highlight a key difference between Google and the library databases, because this is the first thing I want to show you when we get to the library. Google uses natural language searching, meaning you can type a question in everyday language, such as our research question, how does sleep affect memory and learning? And I would still get relevant results in Google. Now, in the past, the library database, Library OneSearch, required keyword searching, which is where you search just with specific words. It was very particular. But thanks to the help of AI, it's become much more advanced. And now you can actually use either natural language searching or keyword searching. The thing is, we have the default set to natural language searching because it can be very helpful in most situations, but it can also interfere with your results, especially when you're looking for a specific title, for example. So for that reason, the first thing I'm going to show you in the library is how to switch from natural language searching, which is the default, to keyword searching. It's quick and easy. And with that, let's get started on our library tour. As I pull up my screen, I just want to pause here and see if anybody has any.
Karen, we've been getting some really awesome questions in the chat, and I think all of them will be stuff that you were planning on sharing anyways, but things like um, limiting to the last 5 years, how to narrow down your search results, and how you can save articles in the library are three questions that have come up so far.
Okay, that is great. Yeah, let's get started. These are really excellent questions. I'm gonna show you first um, how to get to the library databases. Give me just a second to finish pulling this up. And yeah, I have my notes here. Guys, I am like a dog that sees a squirrel sometimes in these webinars. Like if I get a good question like that, then it's easy for me to lose focus and just go off the rails. So I've got notes today. You should be proud of me. I'm gonna really try to just stick to what I've laid out, but keep these good questions coming. Luckily, everything that you said is here on my notes. I am gonna cover them. But if anything else comes up that we need to spend more time on, please let me know and we will get to it. Okay. So now I'm ready. I've got my screen here. Please just let me know. Can you see, are you in a Canvas course page right now?
We're in your Canvas course, yes.
Okay,
US
perfect.
119.
Yeah, so I just wanted to sort of mimic the way that you'll most likely be coming to the library. There's two ways that you can get to the library, but it's important that we talk about those ways because, as I mentioned, our subscription databases. The reason that you don't hit paywalls is because you've entered the library through either your Canvas course page or your student portal. A lot of students sometimes, if they're just coming to things maybe from Google Scholar or something like that, they will hit that paywall. And it's simply because they didn't come to the library through one of those two ways. Canvas course page or student portal. So I'll show you. Most of the time you can just jump in here from the Writing Center and Library link in your Canvas page. And then you want to go to Library. And this should pull up your library homepage. Um, and at this point, you're in the library. And this is where you might start. I want to show that natural language search feature. It's a new thing. And I really encourage you to play with it a little bit and see how it works because it's pretty exciting and it's pretty cool. But like I said, it can also mess with you sometimes if you're looking for something really specific. So I am going to put my question in here. We'll test out the natural language search feature. How does sleep affect memory and learning? So I typed my research question, how does sleep affect memory and learning? Right in the basic search box. And right off the bat, I can see I got almost 1 million results. That's a lot. But I want to point out here, this natural language search toggle button is checked. Now, this is great. Before, like I said, before we had this feature, if you typed this into the library, we would have probably gotten a whopping 0 results because the library didn't know how to handle a natural language. So now, thanks to AI, it tells you, you can even click right here, how does it work? And it tells you, it gives you some examples of natural language searches. And basically, the AI reads your question and it just breaks it into a refined keyword search. That's all it's doing. You can even go here to show refined query, and it'll tell you exactly what it translated your natural language search into. Here we have a keyword search. And it threw in, it tries to do such a good job. Thank you, AI. You're doing your best. But it's a good idea to look at these and make sure, is this actually what I wanted to look for? you know, it's very good practice to just know what the library is searching when it's doing a search for you. So you can always look at that and get a better grasp of what you're searching. Now, I want to show you, because as I mentioned, sometimes it can really mess up your results a little bit. So let's say we have a specific title that we're looking for. Let's say we found a study in Google Scholar called Effects of Sleep Deprivation on Learning and Memory. And I'm not just making this up. I did a search for this earlier. So normally, pre if I didn't have that natural language search feature as the default, I could pop this title in these quotation marks. This is a strategy called exact phrasing. Basically, you're telling the database, I want to find a result with this exact phrase. And it works great when you're searching for a specific title. Usually it works great. But because I have this natural language search feature button checked, it doesn't work great. This is an article that we do have in the library, but it didn't come up because I've got natural language search checked. So this is one thing we really want to make sure students understand. I can toggle this off. It's going to automatically run the search again, and bam, here is that article that I'm looking for. This is the one that I need. So I just want to point that out because while it is a great feature that can benefit a lot of students, um, it's not right for every situation. So just keep that in mind.
I just
And
want to throw in real
yeah,
quick, Karen, that that's actually a shortcoming of the tool right now, and we have given that feedback to the EBSCO reps, and they are actively working to try to improve that natural language search, so it won't do that anymore. But for now, that's the trick to get the specific articles. If you're looking for specific article, turn it off. But we'll definitely let you know when they've made improvements to it, and then you won't have to do that anymore. But for now, that's the workaround.
awesome. Thanks, Kira. Yeah, this is a brand new feature. We're still kind of playing around with it ourselves and learning about it. So I definitely encourage you to play around with it as well. Now, I want to show you how, if you don't want to use natural language search, and I recommend that you get comfortable with keyword searching, um, most of the time, because you have maybe this big research question of sleep and its effect on learning and memory, learning how to break that into an advanced search. And at any point from your results page, you can go into advanced search. It's also available here if you want to jump to it straight from the library homepage. And what it allows you to do is a couple things. You can break your search into different concepts. So let's say we want sleep at the top, memory. Let's maybe try or learning. So these words and or, they're going to really change your results. And I'll show you in action what I mean. So let's try sleep, memory, or learning. And we're doing an advanced search. Maybe at this point, we want to set a limit to scholarly review or scholarly and peer reviewed if we know that's what we need for our subject. Maybe we want to set the published date. Maybe we want to limit to English. These are all things that you can do from this first screen. You can even get into some of these more advanced search options. But I'm going to keep it pretty basic right now with just filters. But even if you don't check them off here, you'll have the chance to from your results page. And I'll show you what I mean. So we typed in sleep and memory or learning. It put it all in this one phrase, just like we saw when we refined our natural language search. And we have over 3 million results. That's a lot of results. Now we're going to start, like I said, we still have these filters up here. These are the most popular filters that you're going to use. So they put them right front and center on your results page, and you can play around with them. So the ones that I always go to, if you know, like I said, the first step is figuring out, do you need scholarly peer-reviewed results? Then right away, you're going to click limit to scholarly peer-reviewed. Maybe there's a publication date range that you need to limit to. So this is the published date range limiter. We're going to do past 5 years. So now we're slowly whittling down these results to be much more relevant to what we're looking for. If we didn't need scholarly peer-reviewed results, we could uncheck this and go to source type. And let's say you're just looking for a popular source, magazines, trade publications. That might be the case. But for most scholarly research, you're probably going to want to check that scholarly peer-reviewed result, and you're probably going to want to set that published date range. Okay, so from here, let's talk about maybe how to refine our results a little bit more. I want to point out that anytime, if you're not sure, what am I actually searching here? You can click this All Filters button, and this very helpful screen comes up on the right. It tells you what filters you have set. It also tells you what other filters are available. And there's a lot here. The main ones that I think you're going to want to worry about just starting out are those ones at the top. But I do want to point out these subject filters. This is a great way to just find more keywords to use in your search. Maybe there's something here, and what it does is it gives you the count. So we have almost 500,000 results here. This tells us what the subject headings are assigned to each result in our results page. These are the other subjects cataloged here. So you can look down here and see, I don't know, which of these speak to what I'm interested in researching. Maybe there's something here. Maybe we want to talk about physical activity. Maybe, we want to talk about children. That's a keyword I hadn't thought about including. Or if not children, maybe another age group. So what you can do, you can check off some of these things and it'll automatically, when you click apply, it'll automatically whittle your results down to be that much more relevant. So now we've gone from 500,000 results to about 8,000. Excuse me, I apologize. So we have so many fewer results now, and hopefully they're a lot more relevant to our search if we're interested in studies about children. Now, at any point, we can go to that advanced search screen and we can tweak these keywords a bit. Excuse me, just one. Okay, sorry about that. So let's say, for example, we have, well, let me go back real quick. I'm going to do that search again because I'm remembering I checked off that children filter. I'm going to go ahead for the purposes of our demo today. I'm going to take that children one off and show you instead how I might tweak some of these keywords here in the advanced search. These, these fields here, you see all fields and it turns into a drop-down menu. These are called field limiters, and they're really useful if, let's say, you have 500,000 results and none of them seem relevant. Play around with these field limiters. It's a great way to really bring what you are actually looking for straight to the top of your results. So let's say, that children filter got me thinking about early childhood education. Maybe we want to look at that keyword and we want, maybe we want that phrase to appear in the title. So we're going to select TI title. Now there's 3 of these fields that I really recommend. There's a lot here. You can search for author, you can search for a journal, but when you're doing a search like this, I recommend just mainly focusing on title searches, subject terms, or abstract. The title is going to pull out any results with whatever you typed here in the title. So right away, they're going to be much more relevant. Subject terms, it's going to pull out anything with that term in the subject. And of course, abstract, that is a summary of what the article is actually about. So it'll search all of these summaries and pull out any that mention your keyword here. So for this one, we are doing early childhood education as the title. Okay, it cut my results way, 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 way down, right? That could be a bad thing. We can always go back and tweak, but now we can start to look at, okay, early childhood education. It's appearing in these results. Maybe this is something that I want to look closer at. And then you can start sort of exploring these resources and seeing, is this actually relevant? There's this, and for each result, you have a little bit of information here. You can see the authors. Databases are getting so much better at hyperlinking authors and things like that. It can make it very easy to look at everything an author's published and see if there's maybe something else relevant to your topic. Maybe Barbara Felt happens to be an expert on sleep and early childhood education. You can quickly click on her hyperlink and see right there in the database more information about her, how much she's published, other works she's published. So you can quickly start to grow your research that way. And going back here, so if this article looks, it might be promising, we see the journal that it's in, we can see it fits in our 5-year published date range. Click on Show More, and here's where you see that abstract. And this is a quick way. You don't have to waste a lot of time reading the whole article. You can just see, does this actually seem like it'll be good evidence for what I want to say? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Let's say in this case it does. You can click this Save button here. And this is where, Kira, I'd like you to drop the EBSCO account tip sheet in the chat. This is a great way to save your research as you go. If I click Save here, it will automatically, I'm already signed in to my EBSCO. Normally, if I wasn't signed in and I clicked Save, it would prompt me. It would say, sign into your My EBSCO account. And you can set up in My EBSCO account. It's not automatically set up for you, but it just takes a moment. And that tip sheet here is sharing, walks you through the steps. But what that does is it allows you to save not only articles, you can save searches, you can set up different projects for the different courses that you do, or maybe even the different like parts of your literature review, whatever you want, you can set them all up here in your dashboard. And so now as I go through, if I say, this looks promising, I'm going to save this in my EBSCO account that I've set up. Then at any point, I can go in here to my dashboard and go to saved. And here's where I can find that article saved right there for me. You can also, if you saved a search, you can see what searches you have saved here. And I've saved a few searches dating back for a year, just based on whatever research I was doing. I'll show you here. Let's say I really like this search that I did. I'm getting really good results and I don't want to forget what I searched for. I'm logged into my EBSCO account already. All I have to do is go to Save Search, and it's going to save that search. It gives me a little bit of information to fill out. If I can tweak it here if I want to, and I can save it. You can even create an alert. Let's say you're doing research for a dissertation or something like that. Then it's going to email you. You can set up if you want monthly, weekly, daily updates on if anything new gets added to the database. So it's just a great tool to know about. Speaking of tools, each result in the library has a toolbar with other useful tools to know about. You can get to the toolbar either here, right from the results page. If I just want to quickly say grab a citation for an article, I of course want to make sure it's APA 7th. Now, most of the time, these are pretty good. Sometimes a citation will have errors. So always, always please double check your citations that you get from the library database or from Google Scholar or wherever you get your citations. Double check them because I don't want you to get dinged for points because of an error in the way something was cataloged. But I can copy this to a clipboard. It's an easy way to add a citation to my references page. If I want to look at the full text, I have my access options here. You can go straight to the PDF. I'll show you what that looks like. The PDF, it's a tagged PDF. So it has, again, up here on the toolbar, you can grab the citation for it. You can also export the citation if you're using something like RefWorks. That's where you can export it from. You can add it to one of your projects in that My EBSCO folder I showed you. You could share it. You could email it to yourself. Maybe that's one way to save it. You could email it to your instructor. You could download it, of course. You could print. These are some great features. You can jump to hyperlinked sections of the article. It's very helpful to navigate. There's also really good accessibility features that can benefit all students. Because this is a tagged PDF, and I don't know if you're going to be able to hear it, but it's reading through this whole PDF. You can even download the MP3 if, say, you want to listen to it later. I don't know, something like that. So and also if you ever need help with accessing an article for any reason, if you need a text to speech version and it's not working, you can always click on this accessibility support link here. You can also just reach out to the library and we'll try to help you with whatever we can. We can reach out to the vendor directly, but that's just one feature to know about. We take accessibility very seriously. We want all students to be able to access what's in our library. So going back, that was the PDF version. The same tools exist if I select online full text. Here we see those same hyperlinked table of contents, accessibility features, site tool, things like that. So that, in a nutshell, is how to search and explore and access features in the library. A few other things I just quickly wanted to point out. Sometimes you'll see buttons like this that can be very useful. This tells you which works cite the work that you're looking at. So again, just one way to grow your research there. You can also, I haven't had very good results with the more like this feature. Test it out, see. The idea is it's just suggesting things that are similar to the topics in your article. Mine, I haven't had very good results, but they're getting better, I think. This is Generate AI Insights. Basically, it's just giving you a high-level overview of what the article is actually talking about. So that could be helpful. These are all new features in Library OneSearch, so play around with them, see what works, see what doesn't. And yeah, if you have questions, you can always reach out to us. And that, I'm going to wrap up the tour here just by showing you where to get help when you need it. Of course, inevitably, we all need a little help sometimes. I often reach out to Kira, like, can you try this search? Why am I not finding any results? It happens to all of us, and we use this database every day. So know where to go if you have a question. The 24/7 library tutoring button is a great resource. It can link you to a live librarian 24 hours a day. It's available, you'll see here, it's even available over winter break. I hope that you won't be doing research over your winter break, but you never know. You could reach out to a librarian. You can also pick up the phone and give us a call. We're available Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And you'll be talking directly to me or Kira or one of the other librarians here on staff. You can send us an email. We'll get back to you with resources, with links, with strategies to try, screenshots that walk you through the whole process of searching in the library. Down here, we have sort of our DIY section I want to point out. If you do nothing else today, please bookmark the Quick Answers link. Quick Answers, it's our FAQ. I'll show you what it looks like. If you click there, you can just type in your question. And anything from, how do I turn in my assignment to how do I approach the research for Gen 103? I'll just show you. You type in, and if you think someone's probably asked this question before, we give you links to very thorough advice on how to approach that question. So, if you're in a hurry, maybe you don't have time to jump on a chat with a librarian or pick up the phone, this might be one option for you to just get your question answered quickly. Okay, so quick answers. We have Library U. This is our database of short 2 to 3 tutorials. We also have tip sheets available here, some that we've searched that Kira's shared in the chat. Oh, Kira, I forgot to mention um, things like field limiters. I showed you how to use those. The advanced search techniques tip sheet walks you through.
I did put that in
Um,
the chat, by the way.
Oh, wonderful. Thank
Yep.
you. Yeah,
Mhm.
this gives you just a good overview of some of those more advanced techniques when you're ready to try them out in the library. And there's all kinds of great tip sheets here that you can check out. Our research guides are wonderful. There's a particular one that I want to highlight for you today. This is brand new, and we have heard nothing but rave reviews from students who have tried it out. I encourage you to try it out when you have a chance. It's called Prep Step. Our Prep Step research guide, if you click there, it will give you a link to the Prep Step research guide here. Now, Prep Step is a huge database. Oh, let me get in. You won't be prompted to enter, but because I'm a librarian, I have to enter a uh, password to get to our research guides. So this is the Prep Step research guide. Prep Step is a huge database of, gosh, everything from tutorials, tip sheets, videos, flashcards, all that you could imagine on multiple different disciplines. It can be a little overwhelming if you go directly to Prep Step. So we broke it into what we think is the most useful to UAGC students topics here. So if you need a little bit of extra help on math, writing, computer basics, this is where I've heard the most um, praise from students who, maybe it's been a while since you've been in an online class. Maybe you don't know a lot about Excel or PowerPoint. Take one of these courses, and it basically just gives you an entry point to understanding when your instructor says, upload a PowerPoint. Okay, I don't know how to do that. This will walk you through all of those things. So, check it out. You can explore different careers, different study skills like staying organized, um, you know, time management, things like that. There's a lot in here to explore. So I really encourage you to check it out. Let us know what you think about Prep Step because we've heard a lot of good stuff. Um, and you can get to it, like I said, through research guides. It's also available here under Find Articles and More. This is our database A to Z list. It's all those 90 subscription databases I was talking about listed out here for you. We break them down alphabetically by subject or by type. So if you know there's one that you're looking for, if afterwards you're like, I can't remember how to get to Prep Step, go to Find Articles and More databases A to Z. Just find the letter that you are searching for of your database, Prep Step. And this will take you to the big version of Prep Step. And like I said, there's a lot in here. There's even like flashcards for the GRE and other academic skills, grad school prep, college success skills. There's lots in there. So check it out. Okay, I am almost to the end. I think, let's see, am I still sharing my screen?
You are.
Okay, so just a few more slides, and these are more references that I'm going to include with the slide deck so that when you check it out later, you're like, I can't remember how to get in touch. Here's a slide for your reference. Get in touch with us anytime. I promise we'll be so happy to hear from you. Here's a quick glimpse of how, again, to find Prep Step if you need it.
Oh,
And
actually, and we'll do that too, Karen. But
yeah,
before you get out of the library, there is one student that was wondering if you can walk them through if you are looking for something in the library and you can't find a particular article that you really want that's would be really helpful to your research. What can a student do if they know about a resource but we don't carry it in the library? Where can they go for that?
what a great question. Thank you for asking that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something good to know. So let's say that you found an article, you typed it in here, you weren't able to find it. There's one thing that I would encourage you to do is just reach out to a librarian maybe and see if they have more luck. But let's say you're sure, you've searched high and low, you're pretty sure we don't have it. You can go to services here. We offer interlibrary loan. This is a great resource that we have in partnership with other libraries across the country. You can go to Access ILL, and basically it just walks you through the types of things you can request. Everything has to be electronic because we don't have a physical space, but if it's a magazine article that you're looking for and we don't have, even a book chapter that you're looking for that we don't have, you can request it. It just asks you to fill out this form. It's operated by the OCLC, the World Cat catalog. And basically, that's all the libraries are linked. And so, what we do is we put a call out to one of our partner libraries and we say, hey, I really need this article from Harvard Business Review. I don't have it in my library. They'll send it to us. Usually, it even only takes 2 to 3 business days. So, it's worth a shot. Oftentimes, we get requests and we discover actually we do have that, but for whatever reason, sometimes there's a back door or something in the library that you might have more luck finding it on. So, any questions, just reach out to us. We're
Krista
happy
is
to help.
wondering how long it typically takes to get an ILL request fulfilled.
Yeah, so we say 3 to 8 business days. I'm going to be honest with you, especially if it's a recent article, it doesn't always take that long. I've had luck definitely within 3 business days, but if it's an older document that we have to maybe search around a bit more for, it might take a little bit longer, but you'll have it, I would guess, within a week. And there are some times where we just can't find the resource, but we're going to help you find maybe a close replacement. We'll help you every step of the way if we leave you high and dry. But I honestly can't think of any time where I wasn't able to find something for a student through ILL. So definitely good to know. Thanks for asking that question. Okay, so we have just a few minutes left. Were there any other questions that I could answer or anything that you could show that you'd like to see? Again, I apologize for my scratchy voice. I'm not going to talk for the rest of the day after this. Yeah, good luck. Oh, I see some great questions here. I love the Wayback Machine. Ah, and that's a good point. Asking about, can we assist with locating items that have partial records, or, can we assist? A lot of students are like, I didn't know I could call because I'm looking for something that's not in the library. Are you allowed to help me search the web? Absolutely. We are here for your information needs, no matter what they are. So reach out to us. If you can only find something that has a partial record, let us know. We're going to do the detective work and see if we can find something that fits what you're looking for. And Kira, thank you. You handled um, the raffle prize. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
And don't
please do
worry.
email us. Email us so I don't have to come and chase you down. So support you at uagc.edu and give us your shipping address and we will get that to you. Hopefully we can get it to you before the holidays. Who knows? Maybe or maybe not. But if not, if you don't get it before the holidays, we'll definitely get it in January.
All right. Well, I'm gonna stop my share and come off video. Of course, it's always nice to see faces. If anybody has more questions or anything they want to ask, I can also stop the recording in a few minutes. If you want to hang out, I can hang out and chat if there's anything that you want to chat about or ask about or see live. I know when we're going to school online, it's hard sometimes to get that live one-on-one connection. So
I want to
I'm
say
here to
I
chat.
love the chat today. I love the engagement. There's a lot of great questions in there. And please come back. We will keep having these webinars and we will give swag away at every one of them. And so if you didn't win today, please come back to another one and you might be the winner, especially if you're engaging in the chat. So please come back.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Feel free.